What if I told you that the entire incredibly complex journey of learning to read could be boiled down to one simple, powerful mathematical formula? Well, today we're going to crack that very code.
Have you ever wondered about this? Why is it that some people just seem to pick up reading so easily, while for so many others, it's this constant, frustrating struggle? It's a huge question, one that has puzzled parents and educators for decades, and has sparked some really intense debates.
Well, it turns out the answer might not be as mysterious as we think. Since way back in 1986, researchers have had this framework that just cuts through all the noise and provides this amazing clarity. And yep, it all boils down to one simple, elegant equation.
Okay, let's just dive right in. This is the heart of it all. The simple view of reading, or RC equals D times LC. Now, this isn't just some clever acronym. It's a model that has completely reshaped how we understand reading actually works.
So here it is. This was proposed by two researchers, Goff and Termer, and it's now backed up by more than 150 studies. It says that real reading comprehension is the product of two totally separate but equally essential skills, decoding and language comprehension.
Now that multiplication sign, that is the absolute key. Notice it's not D plus LC, it's D times LC, and that changes everything. It means both of these skills are completely non-negotiable. You can't just be really good at one to make up for being weak in the other. If either D or LC is 0, the whole thing just collapses.
So think about it like this. Let's say you have a student with a fantastic vocabulary. They understand everything you say to them, so their language comprehension, or LC, is perfect. Let's call it a 1.0. But if they can't actually read the words on the page, their decoding, or D, is 0. Well, what's 1 times 0? It's 0. No reading comprehension. It just can't happen.
Okay, now let's flip that on its head. Imagine a student who can sound out every single word perfectly. Their decoding skill is a 1.0. But if they have no clue what any of those words actually mean, their language comprehension is 0. And the result? Exactly the same. 0 comprehension. They're just making sounds, not making any meaning. You see? You absolutely have to have both.
So now that we see just how critical both D and LC are, let's break them down. We're going to pop the hood on each one, starting with D for decoding. What does it actually mean to decode?
Simply put, decoding is the mechanical side of reading. It's the raw skill of looking at those printed symbols, the letters on a page, and being able to translate them accurately and fluently into the sounds and words of our language. It's all about cracking the code.
But cracking the code isn't just one thing. It's more like a complex engine with a bunch of interconnected parts. It all starts with phonemic awareness. That's just being able to hear the individual sounds in a word. Then you've got phonics, which connects those sounds to the actual letters. But it also includes knowing spelling patterns and word parts, like prefixes and suffixes. All these pieces have to work together perfectly.
And the whole point of all this decoding practice is to get to a state of automaticity. Think about it. When a kid first starts reading, they have to slowly, painfully sound out every single word. But with enough practice, their brain creates this mental shortcut, a little map for that word. And eventually, boom, they recognize it instantly. No effort at all. That's the magic moment when reading starts to feel fluent and easy.
Okay, so we've looked under the hood of DALD, but that's only half the story, right? Now let's talk about its crucial partner, LC, language comprehension. Because once we've decoded the words, we have to actually understand what they mean.
Language comprehension is basically that huge well of knowledge that we all have inside us that lets us make meaning from words. It's your ability to understand a story if someone was just telling it to you out loud, using all the background knowledge and vocabulary you already have.
And just like decoding, LC is this big, complex web of different skills. It includes your vocabulary, sure, and your understanding of grammar, and your ability to make inferences, to read between the lines. But here's the big one. It also relies on your background knowledge of the world. You can't really understand a book about baseball if you have no idea what a home run is, right?
And here's an incredible insight. As a reader gets better and better, the focus of this equation actually starts to shift. Once that decoding part becomes automatic, almost subconscious, language comprehension totally takes over. It becomes the main thing driving and limiting your reading ability. Your comprehension can only go as high as your knowledge and vocabulary will let it. It literally sets the ceiling on your potential as a reader.
So this equation, it's so much more than just a theory in a textbook. It's actually a really powerful diagnostic tool. By looking at a student's strengths and weaknesses in both D and LC, we can identify 4 really distinct types of readers and figure out exactly how to help them.
So check out this matrix. It shows us those 4 profiles. Up here in the top right, a student who's strong in both D and LC, that's your typical competent reader. Down in the bottom left, someone weak in both has what we call mixed difficulties. But it's these other 2 boxes that are so insightful. A student with great language skills but who really struggles with decoding, that's the classic profile for dyslexia. And a student who decodes just fine but struggles with meaning, that's a specific comprehension difficulty.
And this is a major aha moment for so many people. This model just makes it crystal clear that dyslexia is not a problem with intelligence or with understanding things. It is a very specific difficulty with the D part of the equation, a word reading deficit. And once you pinpoint the exact problem, you can provide the exact right support. It's a game changer.
Okay, so this brings us to what might be the biggest takeaway of all. Because the formula is multiplicative, D times LC, it gives us a clear verdict in those long and honestly pretty bitter reading wars. It shows us that balanced instruction isn't just a nice idea. It's a mathematical necessity. It's the very foundation of what we now call the science of reading.
For decades, education was kind of trapped between 2 warring camps. On one side, you had whole language, which focused a lot on meaning and encouraged kids to guess at words from context, completely ignoring the D side of the equation. And on the other extreme, you had these really rigid phonics-only programs that just focused on sounding out words, totally neglecting the LC side. The simple view of reading proves mathematically why both of those unbalanced approaches were always going to fail a lot of kids.
You can see it right here. A truly balanced approach gives equal serious attention to building up both the decoding engine and that language comprehension web. The other approaches, they're dangerously lopsided. They're pretty much guaranteed to fail a huge number of students because they're only building one half of the equation.
So here's the bottom line. Reading failure is almost never caused by just one thing. It is the direct, predictable result of a weakness in decoding, or a weakness in language comprehension, or of course a weakness in both. And that means our instruction has to be systematic and has to be explicit in building both sets of skills right from the very beginning.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? This isn't a matter of opinion or philosophy anymore. The evidence is just overwhelming. If a reading program isn't explicitly and systematically teaching both sides of the RC equals D times LC equation, then it is, by definition, flawed. It's scientifically incomplete.
And that leaves us with one final, kind of provocative thought. Now that you understand this simple but incredibly powerful equation, take a look around. How is reading actually being taught in your community? Are we deliberately building both sides of this equation for our kids? Or are we leaving one of these absolutely critical, non-negotiable skills pretty much up to chance?